Welcome to episode 1 of this Rooted and Rested podcast. I'm so excited you're here. It's been a while since I podcasted. I've always loved it, but I'm excited to be back with another one, a new one. I'm really excited about some of the things we're going to be talking about, the people I've got lined up to have a chat with over this season. But most importantly, I'm really excited about what this could do for you. The things that I've been studying over the last 2 years have really taken me on quite the journey. And I am just really excited about being able to be in this world that I've managed to bring both of them together, my two passions, this somatic trauma-informed work alongside with interior design, and how the two are totally interconnected. So welcome. I'm super excited to see you. This is a podcast for people who carry a lot. It could be any space. It could be parenting. It could be business. It could be being employed somewhere. You could be an entrepreneur. You could be or any of these spaces. It is for you. It is a place where we hold a lot and sometimes don't know how, why, or how we can carry on. It's for people who want to achieve a lot, or maybe they already have, but we may be quietly wondering why we are so exhausted, even if we've been on holiday. If you have felt like you're successful on paper, but maybe feel as thinly stretched as that piece of paper, this is for you. So Rooted and Rested is all about thriving. It's about not going through life on an adrenaline high. It's about not being productivity obsessed. It's about not self-sabotaging. It's about being regulated. And that is something that we don't understand in our culture. It is one of the most misunderstood corners of life that I think we've seen, this insane separation of mental health and physical health and them not being combined, and then you add into that our physical surroundings not impacting each other and having completely separate strategies. It seems absolutely insane to me, and I am super excited about being able to try and bring them all together. So I'm a big believer in high capacity, high functioning people who are healthy. You don't often see it, but I absolutely believe it's possible. I don't think that starts with a to-do list. I don't think that starts with a social media campaign. I think it starts with regulation. And that is what we're going to be looking at, talking about and exploring in this podcast. If you have things that you'd like to ask or anything comes up that you want to know more about, or you've got a specific thing you're working through that you think might be connected to what we're talking about, please feel free at any time to drop a comment or a question, email, whatever, any way you want to, and I'd love to talk to you or get involved or include it in what we talk about on this podcast. This is what about you. This is about what I've learned, the things I've gone through, the journey I've taken, which has been painful for me because you can't learn these things without applying them to yourself. It's about bringing it to you so that you can be regulated, you can be grounded, you can thrive without it costing everything. I think we're often willing to pay too high of a price for thriving, and we shouldn't be doing that. That's my opinion. So this first season is all about this concept of building a sustainable life, but not from a dysregulated body. We need to be regulated. And that is something that I don't see many people talking about. It's something I don't see very many people understanding for themselves. And we're going to explore all kinds of ways that we can thrive mentally, physically, and environmentally. And I'm not commenting on the environment. I'm talking about our surroundings, the spaces that we live in. And sometimes that is getting outside and being in nature. But sometimes we're in the home, we're in the office, we're in wherever it is that we work, the hospital, whatever. These things impact us hugely, hugely, hugely. So we're going to talk about all these things and how they work together. Some of the things I am really excited about getting to talk about is the nervous system. We all have the nervous system, and it baffles me how many people I speak to who have never even heard of this. They've never heard of it, or they know they've got one, but they don't know what it does, and certainly don't know how to take care of it. So we're going to be talking about burnout. Is it a nervous system issue? Is it a productivity issue? We're going to be talking about anxiety, a whole ton. Yesterday, I spent 4 hours talking to people about anxiety. It is something that this generation is massively impacted by whether it's them or their kids or both. We're going to talk about anxiety being a protective, responsible behaviour and not an identity. We're going to talk about how our home and our workspaces affect our health. We're going to talk about beauty and how important that is to our regulation, not beauty. Beauty. We're going to talk about how trauma shows up in our businesses and in our workplaces and in our leadership, and how impacting that can be on those around us and ourselves. And we're going to talk about growth, because actually that's what it's all about. It's about healthy growth, having a good stretch that doesn't break you, but rather empowers you and rather sees you thriving. So we're here. We're going to explore. We're going to jump in. We're going to deep dive, and there's a lot of things that I think people. I've had lots of clients that haven't realized that their body is stuck in a survival mode, whether that is fight and flight, whether that's freeze, where lots of people, myself included, get stuck in freeze. I was operating in functional freeze for years, and I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea until I started studying somatic trauma informed care. And then I realized and learned so much about myself, unhealthy habits that I had, unhealthy mindsets that I had, and how incredible my body had been all along. Even if it's sometimes misguided or misinterpreting things, it is absolutely amazing what the body can do. So yeah, we're gonna deep dive. Strategy, intelligence, ambition, all of these things are amazing, but they need to be done from a regulated and rested state, not from panic, which is something that I think we all do at various times. Different things will cause us to panic, and yeah, we'll try and fix it with a to-do list or overstretching ourselves. So what does rooted and rested actually mean? Well, rooted is all about understanding your nervous system, understanding that you might have some triggers that your body is seeing and registering and responding to, whether they're correct or not, doesn't matter. That is what's happening. It's about learning tools to regulate yourself. It's about building from a place that is not fueled by fear and adrenaline. Being rested doesn't actually mean anything if your body is not regulated. And I can tell you this for free, because you can go on holiday to the most glorious place on the planet. If your body is not regulated, you will not be rested. I've had this experience. I know what it feels like. You can come home and feel more exhausted having been away and dysregulated than staying at home and being regulated. I've experienced that myself. It's actually a very strange feeling, because you feel guilty that you've not managed to achieve the rest when you've been on holiday. You've done nothing for 10 days, and yet somehow, or a week or a weekend or whatever it is, you've managed to go away and spend all this money and make all this effort and make all these plans, and somehow you've come back and you don't feel any better. We're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about how that happens. But it's also it's about your growth not costing your health. It's about your ambition not being built on anxiety. It's about making sure your environment supports you and doesn't overstimulate you. It's about a whole life focused on somatic, because your body experiences the world before your brain does. That's another big one. Somatic approach to our environment, our life, our work, our family, our interactions, our relationships. And it's about the body's nervous system regulation. Our mind, our spaces, they all come into the rested part of our rooted and rested approach. So rooted and rested is the name of my coaching program. It's a 6-month program. It's groups or private. It's all about going through a very personalized, tailor-made program where you move from being in survival mode and maybe not having a clue what's going on, but just knowing that you need to address this, to a place of thriving and understanding how you function, understanding how to regulate all the tools you need to function in these high capacity roles, high functioning roles, but from a place of being grounded, rooted, and rested. So, why do I care about leaders? Why does this matter to leaders? Um, this is something that I've been passionate about for a long time. I've been a business coach for years. I've had my own businesses. I've functioned in and alongside lots of other businesses, and it's often been the case, and myself is I'm included in this. It is often high capacity leaders that are most dysregulated. So being dysregulated is not a comment on how capable you are. It's not a comment on how able you are to carry all of these things. It's not a comment on how well you're doing in your business. It's actually people that can handle pressure, can perform under stress, can solve problems, can deal with these incredible amounts of stresses and juggle a million balls. But it's about how are they functioning in those things? Are they running entirely on cortisol? Is their burnout a product of too much going on or their body not coping? It's a nervous system issue. And this is not about needing to buy another planner. It's not about needing to hire an executive assistant. It's about feeling safe in your body and your body allowing you to do your high capacity million things that you need to do from a place that is safe. When your body feels safe, your thinking is more clear, your boundaries are stronger, your creativity is flourishing, and your leadership becomes steady rather than reactive. And that is a really important thing. People that react like fireworks are dysregulated people. That is a classic sign. So if you have a boss or a colleague, or you as a parent find yourself reacting in ways that you are not happy with for yourself, or it doesn't feel like aligned to what you want to be like, this is a nervous system issue. And these are the sorts of things that we are going to be talking about. And one of the things I also just want to pop in here is that leadership does not need to be that you are leading a seven-figure multi-employee, tech company. That's not the definition of leadership. It can be, you are a leader if you're doing that. But I'm also talking about self-leadership and leading a family. Maybe you are a solopreneur and you're leading your business. This is actually applicable in all walks of life. This is not exclusively for business owners or leaders of organizations or leaders of whatever. It's not. It's for anybody. It's for everybody leads in some capacity. And my hope is that the things that we unpack and talk about start to see how the things that we lead are impacted by what's going on in our bodies and in the surroundings around us, how that impacts the two interact together so closely. So over the next 10 episodes, we're going to have some great people coming in. I'm very excited. We're going to have some business owners and leaders that are going to talk about how they've rebuilt their businesses after burnout. We're going to have some people who work in the design field. We're going to have some people that work in the medical field. I've got an amazing friend who is an acupuncturist who's going to come in and talk about that and how what we're doing work together. We're going to have all kinds of things that we talk about, including anxiety, your home, the science of beauty and how it works with the nervous system, what happens when ambition outpaces safety. We're going to talk lots about safety. We're going to talk about how to expand without collapsing. We're not going to have fluff. I am not a woo-woo person I'm not a granola girl. Let's say that. I know there's lots of people out there who are, and that's their space, and that's fine. There's space for everyone. I am much more interested in when the rubber hits the road, how healthy are we? And whether that is a mum that is having to get up every day and get her kids out to school and is at home all day. That is flipping hard. I have done that. I have been there. And you are leading just as much as an entrepreneur and just as much as a leader of a big tech company. There are different walks and shapes and sizes. And sometimes the stresses of one feel smaller than the other. But my experience, my own personal experiences, that will entirely depend on how healthy you are and what you've walked through to bring you to that point. So Curiosity is really the key to all of these things. And I think what I have seen over the last couple of years is people who struggle with some of these concepts and ideas are often lacking in curiosity in general. And I think I would say to you, if you're listening to this and you have thought to yourself at any point, well, I've achieved a lot, but I don't feel settled, or I'm tired of growth and my body feels crap. This is for you. This is just the beginning. This is all about exploring how to thrive in the space that you're in. And it's not just thriving financially or mental health, Lily. That's not a word. I've made a new word up. It's about thriving fully, your mind, your body, your spaces, and making them aligned so that you can actually operate in that space in your field from a place that is rooted, i.e., grounded and rested. That is a place where you can expand from. That is a settled place where you can really truly begin to have that good stretch, like when you really feel like you need to stretch out your muscles because you've worked them. That's a good feeling. It hurts, but in a kind of good way, as opposed to when you rip a muscle because you stretched it too far too quick. We don't want that. It's not healthy. That's damaging. That's not safe. We want good, nice Pilates type stretching going on that doesn't break you. That's what this is all about. So I would love for you to share this with someone who you think it might be relevant to. I would love to see us all having a new definition of success. And we're going to talk about that as well. And I'd love for you to get involved. Tell me what you think. Tell me where you're at. What would you like to see me talk about? Is there something you're concerned about? The final comment I would say is I have been absolutely blown away to see how much this topic and this whole subject of nervous system regulation has impacted every single aspect of my life. Not because I've become obsessed with it, but because I see how complete we are as people and how all of these different things impact us. And if you blinker yourself to all of this stuff, you fail to see yourself, how your body is responding, and the messages it's trying to give you about how it's doing. I was talking to somebody even this week about how for years I was completely dissociated. I was not connected to my body. I could never tell you how I was doing with any kind of feeling. I couldn't feel anything in my body. And that might sound familiar or weird to you. We'll jump into that. We'll talk about that. But it was because I wasn't listening. I had no idea how to listen. I didn't know I needed to listen. I just powered through life. I just bulldozed everything, just push through. And the results were actually catastrophic. I had health complications. I was living in functional freeze. I was totally dissociated, disconnected completely from my body. And there were all kinds of reasons for that. And I will share over the coming weeks a little bit more about that. But the important thing to hear is that I have completely reversed all of that. I went from being a person that had absolute agony in my joints at all times to realizing I was living in functional freeze and I was constantly flooding my system with cortisol and not recognizing, not downregulating myself, and it was affecting my joints. So we're going to talk about how your body can be impacted and affected by not learning this stuff, not applying this stuff, not realizing this stuff. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't know. Now I do. So now I'm excited about aligning our worlds, aligning our bodies, minds, spaces, homes, offices, whatever it is, and giving you tools to be able to understand yourself and those around you better so that you can thrive. So I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining.